My questions are addressed to the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology. Whether in regard to the extended program in secondary schools, she will state the number of pupils who have A. enrolled therein since 2018 to date, are currently enrolled in grade 7 to 9 and 9+, and C. in respect of cohort 2018, have had since dropped out and or declined to sit for the 2022 examinations, and 2. have been admitted in the Mauritius Institute of Training and Development and the Institute of Technical Education and Technology, respectively.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that the extended program is an integral part of the 9-year continuous basic education policy. As we know, one of the specific objectives of the NYCBE is and remains to provide learning opportunities for all students such that they can attain levels of achievement in keeping with their abilities and strengths. This is in line with SDG 4 on education, which is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Mr. Speaker, sir, one key element of the NYCBE policy has been to ensure that all students follow a common curriculum during their basic education cycle. Indeed, it is internationally recognized that learners should have the opportunity to access basic education as a foundation to future learning prior to being exposed to vocational programs. Mr. Speaker, sir, in recognition of the fact that not all students have the same pace of learning nor the same aptitudes, provision has been made for the learners who would not successfully make it for the PSAC to follow the extended program. However, unlike for learners in the regular program, the extended program is run over a period of 4 years instead of 3 years, culminating in the assessment leading to the NCE. Obviously, learners of the extended program benefit from the common curriculum, as I stated earlier, but the assessment is adapted to their needs. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to Part A of the question, I wish to inform the House that 12,273 students are enrolled in the extended program, have been enrolled in the extended program from 2018 to date. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to Part B of the question, I'm informed that the number of pupils currently enrolled in grades 7, 9, and 9+ stands at 11,172. Grade 7, 2,600, grade 8, 2,720, grade 9, 2,837, grade 9+, 3,015. Mr. Speaker, sir, as regard Part C1 of the question, I am informed that for the cohort 2018, 277 students dropped out and 468 students declined to sit for the 2022 NCE examination. With regard to Part C2 of the question, I'm informed that 457 are currently enrolled in the MITD training centers and ITED centers, and this accounts for 79% of the total number of students currently pursuing the NC2 Level 2 programs, including Rodrigues. The National Certificate Level 2 was conceived to reinforce and strengthen the numeracy and literacy of digital IQ of the learners, as well as to introduce them to the essential skills in various trades for the new emerging economy. The NC2 is also aimed at cushioning their lending into the technical and technological education for extended stream learners. We have here a group of learners that are of mixed intelligences and that may find themselves more at ease in a different setting than that of an academic education. This is a vision of the government and the ethos of the national reform, to broaden the choice for learners and expand the pathways into further education and the world of work. Students emerging from the extended stream are currently enrolled in a diverse array of programs at NC2 level, including electric installation, aluminum and woodworks, agriculture, landscape maintenance, art and craft, food and service production, pastry, housekeeping, amongst others.
Madam, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't think the figure is given all right, but I won't fight on this. 11,000 are presently in the schooling system. 3,000 started in 2018 and finished. So even with my limited schooling, it doesn't come to 12,000, but I won't fight about that. Let's leave it at that. We agree that, according to me, 15,000 people, according to you, 12,000 pupils have joined the extended program since the start. That is already a huge amount of people. 71 persons, pupils, passed the NCE exams in October. 71 out of 3,291 cohort, that's hardly 2%. 98% failed, or some resat the exams, resat the year, as you said previously. What, Madam, I will ask the Minister now, there have been individual continuous pupil assessment, supposedly. There was a World Bank report in 2020, an excellent report. There have been reports from school inspectors published in the press. And finally, there were mock exams in September 2022, where more than 90% of the children reportedly failed. What has prevented the Honorable Vice Prime Minister to avoid a disastrous result where 71 children only passed out of an original cohort of 3,291, meaning 3,200 children have been left sur le pavé?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the records from the MES states that the percentage pass is around 3.6% for the extended program. But at the same time, we have to consider that the past years, we intended to provide these students with additional support. And we have been receiving support from the NCIF as well to ensure that we give them sufficient support. But we must not forget that the past 2 years with the COVID and the confinement period has not at all been helpful, and we have not been in a position to provide them with all the intended services that we had in mind. And taking into account that these students are already having learning difficulties, during the confinement period, all the support that was provided did not really was not really appropriate for them, and they did not really benefit from the additional support that was intended for them.
Speaker, I am extremely disappointed. We're not here to cover here or there. We are here to discuss about the future of 15,000 people and 12,000 currently, 11,000 currently in the system. So I would ask the Minister to address the issues that are there, not to hide behind COVID. Now I will raise from that point onwards the report of the World Bank of June 2020, which I presume you're very familiar with. Now, this is one of the most damning reports that I have seen in my whole career. And in about 35 years, this is one of the worst reports on any education system or any government system that I have seen in my career. Now, this report, Mr. Speaker, has a lot of recommendations, a lot of them. Can I take one or two and ask the Minister why she hasn't implemented them? Firstly, the need to involve the families of these children into the educational system. It was raised, I don't have the exact point now, but it was raised at point 5 of the World Bank report. Why has nothing been done to involve the families, which is a crucial point, in the education system of these extended program children?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to differ. We already have at the level of the ministry the National Educational Counselling Services with a number of social workers and psychologists who, in fact, do meet the parents and talk to them whenever the need arises. And all cases reported to the ministry where we find that there are certain students having certain specific difficulties are taken care of. And the involvement of the parents has also been done with our partners from the NCIF who have been working with the parents, and we've been even working with NGOs, helping the parents to try to follow what is happening at school with their children. Families and NSIF have been working with certain target, with the ministry, and there are certain students that are earmarked and identified, and this work is being done.
Mr. Speaker, you see the problem? On one side, you're told we could not do anything because of COVID, and then when you say you should have involved families, you say you have done. So it's clearly nothing to do with COVID. Mr. Speaker, this is the point that I wanted to raise, that whatever was done, there has been an historical failure.
Put your question.
Of 71 people only passing. I have to explain, Mr. Speaker. Now, there has been, according to my information, which I have canvassed, no involvement of any significance of families in the teaching of these children. Now, the other point raised by the World Bank report, point number 9, said that these children...
But this seems, Honorable Leader of the Opposition...
I need to explain, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, I'm on my feet. You listen to me. You listen to me. Don't take a question for a pretext for debate. You're conducting a debate. Come, you have supplementary questions. Put as many supplementary questions. The population is waiting for the answers.
Yes, and probably is not waiting for your intervention. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister concerning innovative teaching methods. These children already failed in a normal system. Why, according to the World Bank, and according to teachers I've spoken to, why she hasn't ordered or recommended the use of innovative teaching methods, extracurricular activities, computer-based learning, etc. Why she hasn't recommended these?
Mr. Speaker, sir, may I draw the attention of the House that the report that the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is talking about is a World Bank report and is a formative mid-term report for evaluation. And in fact, we have been introducing innovative methods, but we have also to bear in mind that the students have difficulties, and we need to ensure that we give them the support and we move at their pace. We have been doing all that, and as far as innovative methods of teaching, teachers in class have been doing special efforts for these students. But we do agree, I'm the first one to say, that the results are not what we wanted, but we must consider that we must bear in mind that these students already have a number of difficulties within the school setup, but also outside the school setup. And we are trying as far as possible to give them all the support needed, scaffolds for them to rise. What I stated about COVID is that COVID did not help. It, in fact, exacerbated the situation. But whatever had to be done at the level of the ministry, at the level of NSIF, we have been doing it. And we do understand that these children require additional support. And this is why, apart from our National Educational Counseling Services, we have also turned to NSIF, where we are getting support from NGOs who are going into school and helping out, trying to give additional support. We have been evaluating the progress of the students in the extended program. We have noted that some of them are capable of improving very fast. Others require more efforts, and this is what we have been doing. The midterm report has, in fact, given us certain clues, and we have been working according to the recommendations, Mr. Speaker, sir. And talking about innovative practices, we have been doing a lot. And I'm sure the Leader of the Opposition is aware that we have been doing after-school activities with all these students. We have the outdoor educational programs which have been included. We also have so many collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, where we are trying to provide to these students all the required scaffolds for them to rise and to build up on their self-esteem.
Mr. Speaker, the real drama, you have a lone supporter somewhere. The real drama is that, according to teachers of this program, this year, these exams will be the same, if not worse, in terms of results than last year, unless, of course, we play again with the pass marks. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to ask the Honourable Minister, and here we cannot play around. 60% of the teachers, according to the World Bank, said that the curriculum was not practical enough, was not adapted to the needs of these children who are far more literacy-minded and far less literacy-minded and more practical-minded. And following that report of 3 years ago, she hasn't changed the curriculum at all. And what would be expected are programs like metalwork, like woodwork, like agriculture, etc., electrical and mechanical studies, rather than what she's offering.
Mr. Speaker, sir, this is where the Honourable Leader of the Opposition seems not to be aware at all of what is happening in schools. What we have tried to do, Mr. Speaker, sir, is to engage these students. We know that they have had difficulties earlier. We need to see how to get them engaged, and we want the system to be more inclusive. This is what we are trying to do. Now, as far as getting them to woodwork or metalwork right now, it is an internationally proved that we need not push children at a very young age into the vocational stream, but instead we should provide them with the necessary tools for them to be able to move on to the vocational training. This is what the NC Level 2 is doing. We're trying to get them to build up on their knowledge and also to acquire the necessary skills to be able to move on to the next step. And talking about what is being done and about the assessment, I have in this very house, Mr. Speaker, sir, stated to an answer to a reply to a PQ addressed by Mr. Honorable Ganga Prasad that there are 2 committees at the level of the ministry working on the NCE, working on the extended program, and we are trying to see how best to support them. In fact, if the Honourable Leader of the Opposition had taken the pain to look at the annual program that is gazetted, he would have noted that even the assessment has been reviewed. And for passing the NCE for extended program, we have tried to help them more so that now they have to pass in 3 core subjects and any 3 other core subjects. So this is important. We have not been turning a deaf ear to whatever recommendations have been made. And as far as the teachers are concerned, we know that they are having a lot of difficulties, and I do understand that they're putting it a lot of effort. Now we need to see how best we support these children. And we must not forget that these are the children that require the most of our support and attention. And this is what the ministry is doing. We are not rushing into things, Mr. Speaker, sir. We are carefully evaluating, following up, and trying to provide all support needed to these students. It is not enough to come and say that something is not working. Now, we have had in earlier other courses, the pre-vocational. Has there been any evaluation done of that program? None, never. But we are actually doing an evaluation, and we are following these students. We are working with the teachers. We are trying to support the teachers, because I do agree, I'm the first one to agree, that it's not easy to work with a mixed group of students with mixed abilities and all. But the teachers are doing an excellent work. We have come up with lots of support. It's true. The results that we have had are not to our expectations. But as I've said earlier, we must understand that COVID has impacted on all children, but mostly those that are weakest. And this is why it is important for us to tackle the issue with care and concern, and not to try to take any form of, let's say, gains from that situation. We are here to help these children. I'm the first one to tell you that the results were not good, and we are taking measures at the level of the ministry to ensure that we help them better. And for the years to come, the committee working on extended program is also trying to see how best we can adapt the assessment system to these students.
Speaker, we want to see the results, not just talk. It's not how hard you work, but what you get done, which is important. Now, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister, you're talking about evaluation. You mentioned last time that you were talking to the World Bank concerning the extended program. Yet, I note from the aide-mémoire, which is a public document from the World Bank, that no agreement has been reached on the another evaluation by the World Bank, because they did extremely good job, by the World Bank on the extended program. Why is that? Why have you not hired them for this job?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to draw the attention of the House that even the first evaluation was done by us and was with the help of the World Bank. It was an evaluation done by us with the help of the World Bank, and there were certain points raised in their midterm review. Now, we are still working with them. I've just said a few minutes earlier that we're not rushing into things. We're still discussing, we're still working on the system. Now, how do you want us to just say, come and evaluate a system that has not been completed yet? We are working on it, and we cannot rush into it. It is important because we are talking about our children, those that need our attention the most. So, no rushing in, Mr. Speaker, sir. We are working steadily, and we want to ensure that whatever system we put up is in the best interest of our children.
Mr. Speaker, we are into the sixth year of the extended program. Thousands of children have lost their avenir, their future, because of this malfunctioning system, badly designed system. I want to ask Mr. another question now, which is going maybe more difficult to evade. Everyone says, the teachers say, and the World Bank says, that there's no provision to assess the health issues relating to children. Some children may not be that study, etc., are not studying so much, but some children are not well. They may have epilepsy, they may have dyslexia. These children are included. And if you don't believe me, go and check. In fact, go and do your work. In fact, these children are included in the normal extended programs of the schools as we speak today.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have at the level of the ministry, the Health and Wellness Directorate, where we have two physicians, medical practitioners, and we have a whole team of officers following our children. Now, it may happen that some of the students do have certain ailments, certain health issues, but we have a system and we work in close collaboration with the Ministry of Health, which normally send officers to look into, to follow our students, and we have come up with a health card. It has started, we have come up with a health card, and we are working with the schools to ensure that we follow them. Furthermore, in our curriculum, we have introduced the healthy lifestyle, and we are following the students even in that line. Now, I wish to draw the attention of the House that we have come up with a Special Education Needs Authority. And the Special Education Needs Authority has been monitoring what is happening in special education needs schools, and after a proper assessment by medical practitioners, these students are then integrated in our normal system. And we keep on following them. Now, if the Honourable leader of the opposition is saying that there are certain students who are not well, now we have a system, and we normally refer our cases of students having problems with their health to the Ministry of Health. We do not have the capacity at the level of the ministry to follow up. We just identify, we give immediate help and support, and then we refer cases to the Ministry of Health.
As a layman, Mr. Speaker, I cannot see how children with these sort of health problems should be in the normal schooling. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister, Vice Prime Minister, whether she will circulate the list, since she is following up every day on these children who are not well. She'll circulate the list in each school, how many children are on her health watch list. If she could do that, that would be a very important thing. Mr. Speaker, I'll just, because you can say no, in yes or no in a moment.
Yes. Let the minister answer.
Yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I do understand that there may be students having epilepsy and all, but I would also draw the attention of the House, and I will talk under the, sous la correction des membres qui sont des médecins. A person having epilepsy needs to be followed and needs to have proper medication. But this does not debar such a person to have a normal life and to be in school and to get care whenever required, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister. Now, it's been 2.5 years into the implementation of the program. That is when the World Bank made its report. It noted significant management failings in the operation of the system, which has, in fact, largely, I presume, caused all these issues, the only 71 persons passing. One of the things it said, that there were, believe it or not, Mr. Speaker, after 2.5 years, the World Bank noted there were no written guidelines issued to the teachers, no written guidelines. And this is also what it said, Mr. Speaker, on page 9. Teachers and school managers have been insufficiently prepared for their roles in the EP. Now, this was before COVID, I'll just remind you, in case you tell me it was COVID and you were not able to do it because of COVID. So this was in 2019, 2.5 years after the setup, and these poor children were studying, supposedly.
Mr. Speaker, sir, this is the reason why we have a midterm review. And this is the reason why we had this evaluation. I've stated earlier that this was an evaluation and it was there to guide us. Now, let me inform the Honourable Leader of the Opposition that since then, we've had a number of guidelines provided to all the practitioners, all the stakeholders. And if he's still referring to a report of 2019, I would suggest that he goes and sees what is being done right now at the level of our schools, instead of getting stuck to that midterm review of 2019, Mr. Speaker, sir.
My point, Mr. Speaker, was that 2.5 years afterwards, all these right people in the Ministry of Education had not come up with one single guideline and had not been able to form the very teachers that were supposed to train these poor children. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask...
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to reply on this.
No, let me ask a question.
I'd like to reply on what has just been said.
The Minister wants
Now,
to
I would like to state that at the level of the Ministry, with the Academy for Professionals in Education, we have been constantly having training for the teachers of EP, and we've not only stopped at that, we have also put up a platform for exchange, and we have a community of best practices established. And we do meet. These teachers meet regularly, and there is a lot that is being done that has escaped the vision of the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I'm referring to the World Bank report. I'm not...
The World Bank report is of 2019.
No, 2020. 2.5 years after. 2020, June 2020. Do not mislead the House on this issue. It is June 2020.
Mr. Speaker,
now,
sir.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask...
Wait a minute. The Minister wants to reply to this.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we are in 2023. We have been doing lots of work at the level of the Ministry that seems that the Honourable Leader of the Opposition does not seem to be aware about. Now, we've been working with all these teachers. We have established platforms for them to exchange their practices, to learn from each other, to know what has to be done, and to avoid doing certain things that did not work well. So it is coming to tell me that in 2020, in 2019, things were said. 2020 or 2020, fine. We are in 2023. And in 2023, between 2020 and 2023, there are lots of work that have been carried out at the level of the Ministry, which the Honourable Leader of the Opposition does not seem to be aware of.
We're talking about 2020, June 2020. Mr. Speaker, obviously all these should be in the extended program, all these people clapping. Mr. Speaker, because obviously I've not understood anything. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask a question. Le poulailler continue. Anyway, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order. Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Order. Honourable Toussaint, last time, order. Honourable Leader of the Opposition, I am on my feet, you listen. You said, I heard well, those members on the other side have to be admitted to the extended course of it. Remove that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Honourable Toussaint should have cared about the 3,200 children who failed! You should have failed! You should have been popular! 3,200 children! And now you have 3,000 this year!
Order! Honorable Minister, you may reply. Honorable Minister, you may reply. Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, you listen, I'm on my feet. You put a question, she's replying. So what did you do?
I was talking to two sides.
You were shouting, what did
Yes,
you do?
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Time is over. Time is over. You have no question, you were shouting. Time is over. You had no question, you were shouting for nothing. Prime Minister's question time. Order. 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 The table has been advised that PQB 398 has been withdrawn. MP Lobin.
B394, please.